As we all know, the gaming industry right now is in a pickle. Of course, we're seeing quality products from indie studios and Japan studios, but Western studios, on the other hand, are failing the expectations they want for themselves. A concept that's basically is going to happen is an all digital future. Most people have an internet connection, and rising technology such as AI will be used to make games cheaper, but also make it more of a luxury item with its price. When Ubisoft did this interview, the gaming communities online lost their fucking minds. Many folks whined about preservation of video games because we can't play them anymore if nobody does something about it. Let me tell you that this concept sucks ass. I hate the idea of video game preservation, and it's coming from someone who likes to collect things. The issue with preservation is that there are too many games to preserve, and a lot of them don't even work anymore. Consoles and hardware will continue to decay over time because of environmental factors and old age. As of now, video games as a medium are the most dominant, and looking up a game will get you a ton of results, whether good or bad. A lot of games are unique, but also many are plagiarized for copying a style of a game. This is supposed to happen when there's always successful games and people want to capitalize on the success. We have oversaturated the market for these games, but we can only pick and choose which ones to play and buy. Unlike our own bodies, we don't own anything. They're a privilege, not a right. You don't own a house? You have to pay for it. Getting and eating food is a service. The only thing you own is your body and your own mind. Everything else is a bond or will die out eventually. Video games are always a service, but the form of it is constantly changing. Back then, games in arcade would get your attention for you to pay for it, aka a service. Then it was a home consoles and you could play with it until it doesn't work anymore. And now, you're giving companies money for cosmetics and full games that is a license that will be taken away at any given point. Unless law enforcement does something about this, which will not happen, it's going to be this way for a time being. Preservation has a lot of issues when it comes to how the industry works, and every time I hear someone bitch and moan about owning a physical copy is the best way because you own it, it makes me fucking upset. To the example I just mentioned, people tend to think that having a physical copy means you preserve the game, and they are wrong. While I do think it's fun to have a stack full of games, it's also okay to embrace the digital future and accept that this is the new normal. Not to mention that emulation and having the original source code will be a better option. Many new hardware will likely make it more difficult to port the game over, and thus they have to change it for it to work on consoles. And while it's not ideal, it's likely an accurate representation of what the game feels like when it was originally designed. It's not identical, but if it's a near replica and is what the game would feel and play like but on a modern console, that's all that matters to me. Plus, with games such as the PlayStation 1 Final Fantasy, they added accessibility features that enhance the experience for many people like myself who hate classic games. But I do know most people want the authentic experience, and if that's what you want, they get the older consoles then. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. But for most of the population, they don't have all the money in the world to get games. Convenience always matters, and we should be thankful for the companies putting some of the classics on the consoles. Some games don't make it because there's a reason for it, and YouTube videos will likely go into detail on the subject matter. And with YouTube, the game itself can be preserved there, from reviews to full-blown gameplay videos, or even shitty meme videos. This helps reach people into knowing about these forgotten games that will likely never see the light again. This leads to questions about online games as well. They became oversaturated, in which they only exist to make money, and a lot of them have shown they are always failures for AAA companies. Would it matter if they just disappear? Not really, because they will represent a time period that only exists as corporate greed. Plus, it would be too late to even think about preserving them. Additionally, the games are all going to be digital, and once those servers are gone, it doesn't mean anything. Plus, who really wants to play those games unless it's a joke? Video games are always a service, and it's up to the consumer to do whatever they want with them. And the way people treat it is annoying and makes them refusal to change. People need to accept that this is the future, and they need to learn to deal with it. I hate video game preservation.